9.1, the ATCO franchise fee. Can I get a motion on this one? Motion, Councillor Danaka.
I make a motion that council approves to maintain the current franchise fee of 7.5% of distribution for 2020.
All right, we've done this every year. Is there any questions on this? Go ahead.
I figured council might want to know, so I dug up the numbers beforehand. In 2017, we had 224,000. In 2018, we had 238,000. And 2019 so far, we have 143,000. So I'm expecting it to be slightly higher, maybe 250. So basically, we're fairly close to what we had in the past 2 years.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions on this one? All good? Okay. All those in favor? Well, that was easy. Moving on to Visitor Information Services Center. Get a motion on this one. Councillor Stenhouse.
That council dissolve the Visitor Information Center.
I don't see that as my option. She can put whatever option she wants.
Yeah.
I'm going for option 4.
Okay.
Do you want me to start my
Sure.
conversation on this?
So we seem to be having issues with the visitor information. To start off with, the numbers are down. We've doubled our price and the numbers are down. The museum has no interest in it. I just don't see a need for a visitor information center. And that's another $30,000 that we could put towards something more needed in our community.
Okay. Councillor Gilroy.
In some ways, I'm in support of what Councillor Stenhouse has said. What I would like to see, if I'd like to see the money set aside somehow until we come up with a better way of dealing with it. Whether it is putting money toward putting a new and better information message on our new website, or whether we can work with the surrounding Indigenous groups as well as the county, but to put it straight toward the Big Lakes County online information and presence is not where I would put the $30,000. I would set it aside till we have time to really look at a good way of dealing with it.
Our contribution is only 50, not 30. Okay.
No. Okay.
15's good anyway.
Go ahead, Councillor Courtlay.
I would like to hear what Donna has to say about this, because she's a guru when it comes to this, and to me, I'm on the fence. So what is it, Donna?
The museum, there's a lot of issues with having the Vic Center in the museum. Cost is one. Limited space is another. They have no room for expansion if they wanted to. The other issues is that with the casino money that's raised for the museum, none of that money can be used for the Vic period. So that limits the money in that sense. Basically, the the museum doesn't want it anymore. That's the biggest thing. The museum does not want to have to deal with that anymore, because number one, it takes away from what the museum could be doing. In prior years, the museums has had summer programs, but with the Vic there, they can't, because those particular people are looking after the Vic. The online information has been proven not to work, even though the county wants to go that route. It's been proven that it doesn't work. People like the paper, stopping, actually physically getting those things with information on where to go, maps, etc. So I think the county will be very disappointed if they go the online route and think that's going to be the way of doing it. I don't know what the solution is. All I know from the museum's board's point of view is after this year, we don't want to have anything to do with the VIC. However they choose, however it's done to implement that, I have no idea. I don't know what the solution is.
Do you think we need a VIC?
Pardon me?
Do you think we need a VIC?
From what I see, I mean, it is busy at certain times. They do get people who do stop for those brochures and stuff. The only problem with the VIC is that being the designated or certified visitor information center, you have you have information on everything. You don't necessarily have just information on your area. You have information on the Yukon. You have every brochure and other things are in there. So it doesn't necessarily focus per se on the area, unless somebody, sees the brochures for things that are going on here, which they have, but they also have to have brochures on every tourism thing in Alberta and beyond. So,
Are we less of a community if we don't have a VIC?
I don't personally, I don't think so, but I think in order for the tourists that are coming through, you need something for them to stop at to pick up information.
Okay. Just wondering, Brian, where did this report come from? Like, I know we had talked at one point that there was going to be some, the town and the county were going to get together and come up with an ideas on how to handle the VIC moving forward. And I have never seen this report till now, so I'm just wondering where it came from.
It came from the county, from Brett.
Okay.
Interim CAO.
So this was their report, and I'm just wondering why they just said improving the Big Lakes County online information and not anybody else's. Like, that doesn't seem, and they want us to partner to better their website? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know how to explain it, but our name would, the town of High Prairie's name would be advertised on it as a partner.
Okay.
And they said the initial cost for the first year for an online VIC center would be close to the 15 grand if they couldn't get the grants, but after that, to update it and keep it running, we should be looking at fees back to the $7,000 to $10,000, I figured.
Personally, just my thoughts is I think a VIC is important to give out some information, and it helps with the tourism and in our region. So I think it's important. Does bring, I think, some people into town, maybe not for long periods, because they might be going to the lake or they might be going to the corn maze or doing whatever, but they might come to see our rodeo, and they might be coming to see our light up, because all of that stuff could be advertised on a visitor information center. I'm curious, my other question, Don, is why do you say online doesn't work? Because my thoughts is when I go and travel, I'm usually looking online to see where I'm gonna stop and where I'm gonna go. And for me, it works, but
Basically, Darlene had talked to some of the places that went online. Edmonton, for one, they did it for a couple years and it just didn't work. So they went back to having like kiosks or something, or a central area somewhere where people could get that information.
they could still get a hard copy.
Yep.
So Edmonton did that?
Yep.
But I'd like to know more about why it didn't work, because to me, it seems like a good answer, but not necessarily just on the Big Lakes County website. In my mind, I could see little kiosks in key areas, maybe one right out in our lobby if somebody was driving through and wanted to know more about what's in the community. They could stop there and get some information, and maybe they could stop at our campground and get some information, and that would be, this is my vision, and I don't know, but a clickable map where you can click on it and see what's there, and it would say, a listing, like you go into the mall in Edmonton, West Edmonton Mall, you got a clickable map, right? If you want to go to a campground, all of them are listed, and you can click on one and it'll give you information. If you want to go see Indigenous tourism, click on here and you can go and see what's on there. To me, that's sort of the direction, and you need to gather all of that information up, and I see that there will be some costs, but I see that as being something that could work. So that's my thought. We'll go Councillor Long, Councillor Gilroy.
In defense to what Councillor Tanaka said, just insofar as I don't see it working for Big Lakes, especially, I defy anybody to find Big Lakes County on a map, right? So if somebody's coming to an area, they're clicking on a town, they're clicking on an event, they're clicking on Indigenous, they have a specific thing in mind. They're not necessarily looking for Big Lakes County. It's a lot of money to be invested in, and it'd be, I'm assuming, a lot of money invested either by the museum or by us as a town to create this web page that will be worthless, really. I mean, the town of Joussard, the town of Foss, they would have their own little things going on. They get their own little web pages, but I don't know what's happening in Big Lakes County. So I just don't see how they think it's going to work for them. I doubt that it will improve a huge amount of tourism increases.
Well, I would think a lot of the recreation resorts are in there in Big Lakes County, right? They're not necessarily in the town of High Prairie. They're in the surrounding areas, and to try and get all of that information into one central spot where somebody that's traveling could find that information, I think that's great, right? Like, I think that's what you need to do. Yeah, and I know it's not going to be the museum doing it. We'd have to, and maybe this is one of those things for economic development that we might be able to go to the funds that might, well, probably not going to be there, but I'm just thinking Lesser Slave Lake Economic Alliance, it's a regional thing where we might be able to get a grant for something like that. But there was dollars there, and there might be something there. Who knows? I don't know from an economic development perspective, but with the new provincial government, I'm not holding my breath. So, yeah. Go ahead, Councillor.
Okay. In defense of Edmonton, good majority of people come through the airport. When you go through the airport, you see brochures everywhere. When I go to most towns, and I stay at a hotel, what do I see? Brochures everywhere. My question to this council is, how many of us have been to the motels and the hotels in our town to see if they even have a kiosk there, to have all the things for our area? Maybe, and the mayor did make a good point here, maybe what we need to do is partner with the hotels and the motels and say, you know what, here's some brochures, because when you're checking in, the kids are going to look at the brochures and figure out what they want to go to in the area, and we just use that money, in a sense, to get the brochures to make sure that all our hotels have something extra to provide in a paper form that would, because, as I said, when I'm traveling, I don't necessarily want to stop at, say, Okotoks, for example. I'll stop there at a hotel, and then I'll say, so what's there to do here now?
Climb a big rock.
Right. But I'll see a poster that says climb a big rock. So most times it's when people actually stop for staying overnight that they'll look at in the hotel area. And so I'm just thinking, maybe we should talk to some of the, if we really want paper stuff, let's ask the hotel guys what they already have in place. Because I honestly don't know what they have in place. But we could use them instead of building a new place, and we could be partnering with the business community in this way.
Councillor Stenhouse.
Well, from what I've experienced, and from the Big Lakes County had, I believe it was last year, I could be wrong, but they had hired a consulting company, that mystery shoppers or whatever, mystery tourists is what they were. And they had went around to all the communities, and they said that it was the people. It wasn't brochures, it wasn't posters, it wasn't websites. They stopped at the gas station and said, so what's happening? Oh, well, there's this, and that, and how do you get there? And one guy was explaining, another guy come in and explained how to go to this and how to go to that. It's the people that are selling our tourists, our attractions here. It's not the brochures. You check into a motel and they'll welcome you, and that's when you say, so what can I do in High Prairie? Well, hey, there's this, and that. If you want to check into your motels and see how many have these paper maps and instructions, ask them how many people actually look at them, pick them up, or who goes to the front desk and says, so what's happening in High Prairie? It's the people that are directing our tourists to these attractions, not the paper, not the online.
Good point that we dialogue with them to see what the best way of doing it is.
Go ahead.
Can I chime in for a second?
Absolutely.
Because I travel a lot, not very far, but a little ways. One of my favorite visitor information centers is Valemont, because they have all the brochures, and most of the time I don't look at them. I do grab ones that catch my eye, throw them in the truck, and then if we have time, flip through them and maybe pick one and go do something. They have you can buy a fishing license there. They have everything. Stop at the bathroom, you have everything right in one spot. And then the one time I went to, I want to say Castlegar, I think it was Trail. And the only campground I could find was right in town, which I hate. Being in town doesn't seem like camping. But best campground ever, because she got us our spot, and about an hour later, after you're all settled in, she come over with this big wagon full of brochures and showed us everything on the different ways that we could go home or wherever we were going. She knew where, and she had every brochure for every little place. So it was kind of a neat. Then we actually picked a different way home because there was something different to do. Pardon? Need a wig.
Well, and it's sort of going to this, like I'm hearing lots of ideas, and for me, I think it's time to look at options, because we know the museum doesn't want to do it. I'm not totally convinced with this recommendation that's came from the county, but I think we do need to look at options there, get some ideas, and find out if online doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because for me. I thought it would work, and then I'm hearing it doesn't. So there's some more research that needs to be done and find out places that have done it. And Darlene has those ideas, and maybe we can get Brett to do some more looking into that on behalf of the intermunicipal group.
When's the next strategic planning meeting?
We don't have one set.
Maybe it could be a topic.
But I think this is something that we're going to do with the county, and I think it's a good place to get the companies involved in how do they want to market and promote, how do the Shaw's Point want to get out there, and how do, the corn maze and all of that stuff, how can we help support them, what would it take? So anyways, now we have any other thoughts on this? We have a motion, Councillor Courtley.
And that's basically why I was asking you, Donna, because I don't think anybody really has a clear picture of what our visitor information center should be or what it does. When was the last time any one of us, well, you probably were there. I haven't been in to see it, right? The last visitor information center actually physically was probably about 10 years ago, and that was just across the border past Indian cabins. Just because it was cool, I stopped there. But I don't go to visitor centers, so I don't,
Yeah.
right? Other than the fact that every time I go by Slave Lake, I always think, how come they got a nice center, right? But they use it for lots of other different functions. Like what Nancy's saying, that the one at Belmont, I know, has washrooms and stuff, and it's actually, you can stop there and it's a service, right? So there's other ways of looking at it. Do you open up our front doors 24 hours a day here with a brochure center up front here for visitors? We can do that. It'd be a lot less money than building a whole new log cabin like Slave Lakes. But do you still have to represent for visitors, for ourselves, to promote ourselves? We have to promote ourselves, but how? How is the question, right? What's the best bang for our buck, right? So to just say, no, we're not going to have a visitors information center, that's probably a bad thing in my mind, honestly. We still have to have something, right? It's just we're in about 7 different directions of what we need. So I think, can we not just table this to maybe, I don't know what.
Hold the funds until we come up with an idea.
Well, absolutely, right? And that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Is to say, hold on, yeah. The museum's not the best place, but we need something, so.
Councillor Long?
And just to support that notion is, we've spent how many thousands rebranding, and then to not provincially promote ourselves through an information center, I think is self-defeating. And so we need to do it, but how? Let's set the money aside, keep it there, and then let's brainstorm, figure out a way.
Put in the budget for next year and let's focus. Open a little log cabin again.
Okay, we have a motion to dissolve the Visitor Information Center.
Can we adjust that one to say, and put the funds,
That's
put
her
the funds aside? Because right now you're saying forget everything altogether, but can we adjust that to say, and set the funds aside for a future project of some sort? Something that would.
No, it's not a friendly amendment.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, so what you're making a motion of is we do not have a Vic in High Prairie at all.
That's correct.
That's your motion.
That's correct.
From other towns I've talked to, a lot have dissolved their visitor information, made it into one spot that's more central in their area. And if we're not going to invest, like I said, if we're not going to invest in the people, like when people stop by, they stop for a bite to eat or gas or something. We need to invest in our people, in our service people that promote us. Like you say, we pick up flyers and stuff, but you fire them in the back seat. But that guy said, "Oh, hey, go this way or go that way," and well, let's see what our people are. Our service people are the ones who are going to promote our town, not a log cabin with a couple brochures in it. Well, quite a few brochures. I'm still going with the people.
Okay, so we're prepared to vote. The motion was to dissolve the Visitor Information Center. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, so the next is we want to come up with another motion to set money aside to explore. Okay, I'll make a motion that we set our budget aside and explore new ways of offering visitor information center services and promoting our community.
Did you want that money to go into a reserve?
Or just put into the budget.
I think just into the budget for now, like for the 2020 budget, the same amount that we have now
Okay.
is what we wanted to carry forward and use that. Everybody clear on that one? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Moving on to arena roof repairs, 9.3. Councillor Courtley?
The council award the arena roof replacement project to Christensen and McLean Roofing Company Limited, subject to the company providing a minimum 5-year workmanship warranty at the base price, bid price of $88,420.
All right, Brian, do you want to walk us through this a little bit to get us?
I did get a reply back to them. I asked them, because our engineers had some concerns about the warranty on it. And they said all that they could provide was a 2-year CRCA warranty. And so the 5 years was out, because I had asked them what the additional costs were, because they didn't provide that in their initial quote. And it was a concern by our engineers, so they can only guarantee 2 years.
So why are we saying minimum 5 years?
That was in the, it's in this part here.
Right here, so this is changed to 2 years?
Well, the motion is there, but I just got this stuff in today. I just received this email today.
The engineers are recommending 5 years.
Yeah, they wanted,
The engineers are working 10 years, but they're only getting 5.
Well,
and now these guys are saying they can only provide 2.
sorry, Councillor Stenhouse.
Okay, so in this proposal, well, first of all, I want to get something straight here. In the background of the proposal, it says that the arena staff will install the ice guards on the curling rink. Is that going to be so?
Yes. This company wanted, I believe, almost $10,000 to install it.
That's right. And keep in mind, in this motion, for the bid price of $88,420, that does not include the GST, so that's not actually the total bill
We get
of
the
what we will
GST
be
back.
paying.
We don't pay GST as a municipality. We get that all back.
Okay, glad I made that clear.
Keep going, Judy.
Sorry.
Anything else?
I'm good for now.
Because I was looking at the proposal, and in there, yeah, they wanted an extra,
Just about 10 grand.
yeah, just about 10 grand, but in the background information, it said that our staff would be doing
Yes.
the ice guards.
I felt that our staff could purchase that materials, the roof protection guards, and install them cheaper than 10 grand.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm looking at, Brian, what's the difference between the two that were being considered, the That's the engineer.
price
Well,
is-
the price is a
price-
big one, but is basically doing the same work?
Yes.
It's the same,
Yeah.
okay. So that's quite a price difference, between the two, eh? Like,
Yes.
you're going, wow, you can almost get it done twice for the price that they would do it. Okay, that's Councillor Gilroy.
I'm looking at the actual letter from Christensen and McLean, and we have the base bid here, and then the alternate one. How come number 9 on the first one says provide a 10-year membrane manufacturer standards warranty? How is it different than the warranty you're talking about
I'm talking about the overall
on workmanship?
workmanship, everything, yeah.
Okay,
They guarantee that it's not gonna leak. This is just on the membrane itself, so.
so we have a 10-year on the warranty of the materials, but not on the workmanship, is what you're saying. And when you got that email from them, were you able to contact MPE to find out what they thought of the fact there?
We sent that to them, but they hadn't responded, because I just got this email today, and then we forwarded to our engineers.
Will it change MPE's opinion, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not because of the base price of it. There's just about $70,000 or $80,000 difference. Right.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, I have another question now that you mention that. So our problem that we have right now, is it due to materials or poor workmanship?
Can't answer you that. I don't know. In going up on the roof with the engineers, when I was up there, they said that the actual ribs from the original sheet metal up there wasn't sealed right.
So it's workmanship.
Yes.
So we're gonna do this again?
No, we're gonna get it ripped off and replaced.
Brian, what was Belvedere offering as a warranty, or did they were the second bidder, but I didn't see anything in here. Yeah, so they probably, I'm just assuming, and this could be a bad assumption, that it's probably going to be 2 years wherever you go, right? Or is that,
I don't know.
oh, you don't know, okay. Just wondering if that's the standard for these roofing guys. Councillor Courtley.
Did I miss that fact that they had nobody locally bid on this? Or nobody
did.
Nobody did? Okay.
Grand price the closest we have.
Secondly, it's not it's just a rant, basically, and I probably shouldn't even go there, but it's damn frustrating because it's been 10 years since we built the Gordon Buchanan Center, and our arena and our pad is almost expired now, and now we're going to put another $100,000 into a roof when maybe next year we can start rallying towards getting a whole new finished product. You know what I mean? It's to me it feels like it's a waste of money, even though yes, it's going to fix the leak and it's going to fix that, but when realistically we could have put this $88,000 or $100,000 in towards finishing the project and having the indoor field house and the walking track and it's just like I say, it's just a rant. It's time that it's been 10 years. It's time to start rallying the troops and get this project finished, so we don't have to keep doing this every year, putting money into it, because pretty soon the pad and the big rink won't make it anymore because it's past its lifespan. The 50-year pad, and it's what, year 52, I think it is, and it's an ongoing issue with trying to keep it sealed, right? It's not working well right now. So and that's about a $250,000 bite, and that's coming. Just so, do we need that ice surface? Do we need two? That's what we're gonna have to put out to the public eventually here. But we're putting another Band-Aid on something that we haven't finished, right? It's an unfinished product or project. So that's just where I'm at. I would rather have put that money into a continuation of the project. I know this value is not even, won't even put a dent on the overall cost of the, but it just seems like it's, you know, it is, yeah, when it should be, we should have worked somewhere between then and now to finish the project, right? Maybe now after our federal election coming up, maybe we can start rallying in the spring to do something about it. That's my soapbox. I'm off, thanks.
Councillor Danaka?
So my question is, from Christensen and McLean, so the $81,893, and we're not doing the ice guards on the arena and whatever?
We're doing them ourselves.
Oh, you're doing them yourselves?
Yes.
And,
On the curling rink only. They're doing them on the
okay,
Fort Frost.
all right, okay.
Question, is there possibility of any grants for this? Do you know?
I don't know if there is. Terry? No.
I never looked, because we have not even had our projects that we applied for back in April approved yet still by the province because of the new government, and so I've basically stopped applying for grants because I'm not getting anywhere with the stuff I've already put in.
I think the other day we talked about that. We had 7 grants in there that were waiting
Pending,
on
yeah.
approval.
In the capital of MSI. That's not counting the FGTF grants, and that's not counting the MSI operating grants. We haven't heard anything on anything yet.
The second question, along with that grant, have you talked to the county about chipping in?
They've already approved $50,000.
Up to, so the cost for us would be roughly half of that?
Half of whatever the costs are.
So the county is willing to
Yes.
chip in for our building?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, they're not all bad is what I'm hearing.
And we're not getting bad either.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so,
But we should ask Jason, because Jason Kenny's got all kinds of plans.
yes. Okay, we had the motion for this one. Any other questions on the motion? Discussion?
So what's the final cost going to be for the town? Because you said ice guards. You said ice guards for, we're doing the ice guards. So is the final cost approximately going to be the 98,000 that we're looking at in the end?
The 88.
No, 88 for them plus the ice guards, and that our own people are putting in. So what's going to be the estimated final cost though? Are we looking at officially 98,000 so that it's like 50,000 them, 50,000 us? Is that what we're projecting? Just so we have an eyes open thing on
It
this.
won't be that much.
Yes.
After everything I said, we still have to do this because our upstairs has to be good for the little people that are doing the gymnastics and stuff, and this will ensure that there's no more dripping water on their heads and mold and mildew and all that. So it's just money we have to spend.
Start that campaign right away.
Hey.
Start the campaign for the next set right away.
The one last question, Brian, is when would they be able to do this? Because the timelines are short. Would they be able to get up here and get it done before winter?
I've been talking to these guys and they can come soon because of the weather.
Yeah.
Because they had made a note in there that if they come late, then removal of ice and everything else is extra. So I would hope within the next month they could be done.
Okay, so we have motion that was recommended. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to item 10.1, the utility bylaw. Any motion there? Councillor Stenhouse?
The council gives second reading to bylaw 04-2019, the utility bylaw, this 10th day of September 2019.
Okay, Brian, I know you were taking this to your people for another look, and were there more changes, or what happened?
I think they made a couple minor changes, they were, like,
Just the one change that I had. I think it's just a typo. I'm going to wrote on it.
Pardon me.
It was page 39.8, relocation of water meter remote readouts. And the first section states that the town of High Prairie is satisfied with the location of any remote readout for any reason. The town may require the remote to be relocated to a more suitable convenient location at no cost to the property owner, because we would be living at that, rather than the property owner being the one that is, because we're requesting it, right?
Wonder what that burnt?
Page 39.8. But if the property owner requested it, then they're liable for costs.
I know the utility clerk and all of Vern's utility departments have gone through this bylaw.
Read it 3 times.
It is a very well-written bylaw. It's straight to the point. I know, because we've been reviewing bylaws, and you have to have a thesaurus and a dictionary in one hand and a lawyer on the other side of you to understand the bylaws, and we want people to abide by our bylaws, but you have to understand them first, and this one is it's very well written.
Councillor Gilroy?
Obvious question, but I have to ask it anyway. Everything on here is enforceable by the by law? Okay.
The other, I have to say, I didn't read through this in the detail that I'm sure Vern did, but I couldn't see what the penalties were in here. Or the,
I think the penalties are established in the fee bylaw.
oh, they're in the fees bylaw?
That's why they're not contained in this. Right?
Oh, okay. Okay. And does it specify that in here somewhere, that go to the fee? It does? Okay. Like I say, I went through it, but... And the other thing that got me a little bit is it seems to, like there's the first 7 pages, and then it jumps to the next one, and there's no kind of title on it or anything. It doesn't, it goes to the bylaw, but the bylaw is the first part that's the bylaw of High Prairie and all of the normal stuff, and then all of a sudden we flip to the actual document. Isn't that all the bylaw, or is this an amendment or addendum to the bylaw?
Right here, this is an old bylaw.
Oh, that's, oh, okay, God, oh, okay.
And that one is rescinded in the new bylaw.
I think we're confusing the two.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I was doing. Okay.
It does say it's rescinded in
Yeah, it says at
It-
the end.
Yeah.
It does, okay, gotcha. But there'd be a title on it right at the top. Yeah, because 04/2019 at the top doesn't mean anything though. Like what I'm saying is just having this on a title, just the date, it should be like utility bylaw. Yeah, but it should be right in the title, is what I'm saying.
So you don't classify this as part of the title, no?
No, what I would want to see is just having a title on this document, if you gave it to me, it says 04/2019 at the top line, is not very clear. I would just, you know,
It's basically the same with that one too.
well, at least it would say bylaw, because this doesn't even say a bylaw, you know, and then you could say, yeah. But just having a date doesn't mean much. That's why I was kind of thinking it was an attachment to the other one, because the other one looks more official as a bylaw, right? Okay,
Put your hand up.
go ahead, Councilor.
So of course I've read and read and read this, and there is one small wording that that just doesn't sit right with me, and that's on page 2, emergency. At the bottom of the page, it needs an act of God. If we're a multicultural society, I would like the wording to say, in the event of a natural disaster.
It's an insurance one, isn't it? To say act of God?
Yes.
So it's an insurance policy one, isn't it?
It's a legal term.
It's not a religious term, it's a legal term.
But
If you use natural disaster, it eliminates a lot of the bylaw. Because a natural disaster refers to floods, fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, that kind of stuff.
so what does an act of God refer to?
Sewer back up in your house.
No.
Circumstances beyond our control.
Yes.
Okay, so is not a hurricane, a tornado, circumstances beyond our control?
It becomes a natural disaster when it's being a natural disaster by the province, the federal government. Insurance will look at it and go, it's an act of God.
Okay. You made me bring.
It's a good question.
I still.
Yeah. No question.
Do you know where I'm coming with from this? There's not everyone believes in God,
You're right.
a God, and people have different temples, churches, religions, and it's not referred to as a God. It would be nice to have different wording, but
So, Judy, next time you take your insurance policy for your house and that, ask them to change it.
I will.
It's, as I said, it's a legal thing. If they want to change it, they can, but we have to protect the,
I was just looking for a different wording for that, because what is the difference between a natural disaster, something out of our control?
What if a
And
lightning
then
strike hit your house and burned it down? Is that an act of God or a natural disaster? How do you define a lightning
That is
strike?
Mother Nature that we have no control over. It's not a God that come down and struck me. It's,
But you just said natural disaster.
Right.
Natural disaster is not a lightning strike that suddenly.
Said Mother Nature.
it's Mother
Yeah.
Nature.
So, but then we can put all sorts of.
But this is a debate that we will.
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah.
You have a really good point, but I don't think we can do anything.
Yeah, and I think the precedence is by the legal precedence, and I believe they use act of God in a lot of that terminology
I
there.
honestly thought it was remote.
Like the sinkhole by the ATV
That's an act
in the
of
middle,
God.
in the middle of the sunny day.
Yeah.
That's a
That's an act of God.
All right, we have a motion to give this second reading. Oh,
Vern, just a quick question. I was looking at Schedule C for foundation drains and weeping tiles. What happens in the event, because this is talking more about new stuff, that a person decides that they're going to bring a backhoe and go underneath their building and change all sorts of stuff, but it's an existing building.
Well, if they're changing existing stuff, they're altering what was approved to be there, right?
So that would then be considered a new one?
Yeah, in my opinion.
Or if they're repairing one that's already there, that, I'm just trying to figure out how the wording of that goes to, because there are people who may take over a place and want to suddenly make it all year round or whatever and change some of the stuff underneath their mobile home or an existing foundation.
If they're changing anything, we need a development permit.
Okay, because I guess what brought it to mind was the house right by on the corner that just had the backhoe that did all that work. Would that have been included in here or not?
No, because
No, because they
storm
were
drains are across the street, they'd have to, if they're gonna tie in storm drains, they'd have to go into the street.
And then anybody that touches our infrastructure needs our approval to tie onto it.
Okay,
And that's contained within here too.
okay.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion to give second reading. All those in favor? Carried. We got a motion for third reading. Go ahead, Councilor Manaka.
I make a motion that council give third and final reading to bylaw 042019, utility bylaw, this 10th day of September 2019.
Any other questions, comments on this? Councilor Stenhouse?
No.
Oh.
You have to add those, correction.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, we had those two minor corrections with the title and Vern
As amended?
as amended. So,
Are you okay with that, Donna? Make it with the corrections with the title on the bylaw. There's no,
Okay, I amend my motion to include changes to the title of the bylaw to be
and
included.
And page
30,
9.8, to say the town of High Prairie instead of the property.
But
Yes.
good. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving on, then we're down to staff and CEO written report. No motion. I'll make a motion that we receive the CAO's report and action list for information. So, Ryan, anything you want to highlight?
I was supposed to let all the council know that ATCO are holding a meet and greet at the same hotel that we're staying at on Wednesday night of the AUMA conference. And Amanda said, hope to see everybody there.
what time?
I don't know what time they start in their meet and greet, but when I find out, I'll email all the council and let them know.
Same night as MPE.
No, MPE is on Thursday night.
Okay.
The municipal advisors had contacted me and they were supposed to be at tonight's meeting, but they canceled out and they're coming at the end of November now. So I got them right here. They asked me when I was going to be back from my hunting trips. So I told them at the end of November, so that's when they made arrangements to come. It's all good. I invited the health complex site manager to attend tonight's meeting, but he had another meeting. So he said that he is going to come to the October 8th meeting. I told him to invite his wife, but she's in Edmonton on going to the University of Alberta, taking a course. So he will be here for a meet and greet of council on the 8th.
Okay. Questions for our CAO? Councillor Long.
Going to 381-18, which was a year ago today, pretty much, September 11th, 2018. So, what are we going to do with that? What do we want to do with that? Do we just want to remove that for the reconciliation training? Or are we going to try to pursue it in a different way?
Well, good question. We have another option now for some of that from, the Friendship Center and the Friends of the Athabasca that are doing that.
Yeah.
And there was also some talk of having Dean working on that, right? Dean Flett, he offered to do something along those same lines. So that was at little to no cost. So that was another option there.
I'm just trying to think, I've had so many, one of the benefits and drawbacks of being on the Aboriginal Interagency is I get like 1,000 emails a month. And I thought there was one, and I wish I could think of it right now, and I apologize, Michael, I don't have it at the top of my head, but Kim Barker K is doing some sort of seminar that's open to the public on truth and reconciliation, things that we were looking at here. I can pass on a number of these things to you guys when I look through them, but there are lots of options being provided by the Aboriginal Interagency, and we are also well positioned now with that particular group to be seen as being very responsive to the history and the community that we were originally getting that all arranged to do.
But I think the point is we need to make up our mind and do something, right? Nothing's been done. And that sort of leads to another thing I was going to bring up. We have a lot of these meetings, and it doesn't lend themselves to having those kind of discussions and saying, well, what are we doing here? The strategic planning, what do we want to do? What are our priorities? So we need to somehow fit in those kind of discussions, and whether it's a separate meeting or meeting of the whole or whatever, so that we can have those kinds of discussions to nail that down. Because we're missing that. Like, we come in here and we rattle through all of the things that we need to approve, but we never really have a chance to have discussions on directions and what's important and where we want to go. And that's what we're missing. And so we need to work on that.
So we're going to leave it there, or we're going to just get it off the books and contact Friends of Athabasca or come up with another plan? What's the wish of council?
Okay, well, I'd like to have a strategic planning meeting soon, put it in there, because
a number of the councils around us right now, in order to fulfill the Truth and Reconciliation, are actually starting to put a blurb at the beginning of their council meetings, recognizing that this is Treaty 8 land, and some of the, a growing number of them, from Grand Prairie to Peace River, are even putting, adding to their flag collection in their chambers to show the Métis flag as well as the Treaty 8 flag, in order to show that they respect them and understand the history. So there's a number of different things going on, so I think we need to put it into strategic planning meeting soon to deal with this.
We have to talk to other communities when we're at AMA, see where they're at with it. Maybe they have some new ideas.
So probably something that we need to talk more about and come up with a set plan. And like I think Councillor Gilroy was saying, we can get a strategic planning meeting. We also could tie that meeting in with, as our new budgeting process that we came up with, we need to give council direction on what we would accept as an acceptable budget going into 2020, and we were supposed to do that in September. So we are going to have a meeting soon so that we can do what we're supposed to do. And we could maybe tie that meeting in with some strategic planning and this very question. Okay. Councillor Gilroy?
Looking at the administration spoke with the CN police constable. Did our CAO want us to make a decision tonight on the attached picture? Did you want our recommendation as to what you wanted, or was it just for us to look at and listen and live?
That's what they put on the sidewalks. We don't have any, we don't have any sidewalks going across the tracks, only the walking trails up to, so. But that is an option. Very fancy.
But I did talk with the mayor about it the other day, and he said that still might be an option to put it on that one, those two sidewalks that meet. Was it you I talked to? I don't think, those two sidewalks that kind of meet up at that corner were, and was Alan, sorry. And he said maybe if we can do something over by the TD Bank, I think that's the right bank, because people cut across all the time across the tracks to go to the homes on the other side. He said it would be a great idea to still put them out that corner and that street. So I'm going to go on Google Maps and take pictures and show that constable where Alan thinks we should put them and see if they're willing to do that still.
Terry's on motion number 479 and 17, which has been on there also a long time. Terry's made a contact with the LAP people. I'll let you fill them in, Terry.
This has been a long time coming, but part of it was delayed because the recreation was coming over and we wanted to do it just once instead of twice. But I've got the LAPP people scheduled for October the 10th. I have the people from the Royal Bank and our RSPs and TFSAs scheduled, I think it's the 7th or 8th. And I'm trying to get AUMA to also come for their insurance that we currently have to come during that same week. I haven't finalized that one yet. And then we can have all three that same week, and then the employees will be totally knowledgeable, and then they can decide what they want and let council know.
Okay, I had a question, just wondering where our website is at, the new website.
I got an email the other day that they now have a working version. It's not launched yet. They're still tweaking everything, but it should be launched soon, she said. So I am actually able to get in now and add some stuff. It won't let me do everything yet. And we're going to line up training right away. But it actually looks easy. I was kind of worried about learning how to do that, but I think it's going to be really easy.
Okay, was wondering about what's the verdict on the map for the public from MMSA? We're putting that on our website. What's happening with that?
I don't know yet.
They, when they first put it up, they put names and that on it, and they took it down right away.
But they put it up where? On our existing website?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So staff were
concerned with the names.
That's it.
Yep, that made sense. Yeah.
Immediately. I apologize.
But other than the names, I didn't see any other big concerns there. Yeah.
They sent an update to Councillor Gilroy and the staff. I'm not sure if it went to council and the rest of council saw it. But as the CAO stated, they did apologize for what they have done, and they've gone back to all the other municipalities and removed it from their sites as well. And they are going to be going through that with the other municipalities to see what other changes they want. And before we proceed any further. So it'll probably be another week or two, as I'm guessing, because they're talking to the other municipalities first at the same time.
Okay, well, let me finish off. Is that related? Okay.
As far as I understand that as well, they are going to wait for us to actually sign off on it before they put it public again. So it will come down to our administration to say when it starts up. It will not be at their on their time frame. They'll be talking to. I'm assuming the final decision is with Mr. Martinson here, and so as soon as he looks at all the changes and assesses it with his staff to make sure everything's where they want it to be, then he'll contact MMSA and they will put it on for us.
It'd be great to put that on with the launch of our new website, so they have all of that, and it would be an added feature right off the bat. Another question is, I'm wondering about how the trail paving is going out at. It's done.
It's done the next day.
Okay, so you did that sort of the very north.
Yes, 750 feet they did this year.
Okay.
Cost us $8,000.
8,000 and did that one.
And they finished installing the second water bottle fill station
Monroe Avenue.
on Royal Avenue.
Ah, okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's
That was for the doggy.
yeah. Okay, any other questions for Brian? Seeing none, we have a motion to receive for information. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to our treasurer's report. Councillor Stenhouse.
The council received the August 2019 Treasurer's Report as presented for information.
Okay. Long list of things. Any questions for our treasurer? I see one there. Go ahead.
Number 3, assessment and property taxes. Can you enlighten us, please?
I figured you'd probably ask about that. This spring, we received the numbers from the DIPS, and something seemed wrong. I knew right from the get-go. I contacted them and talked to them on a few occasions, because last year they had made the mistake of their agency person had told our assessor the amount of all the improvements and all the stuff that had happened at West Fraser. And then it turned out that they had made a mistake and they had not separated out the county's portion with the town's portion. So then our assessment was way out last year, because a third of that money should have gone to the county, not to us. So we had to revise a tax notice to that particular entity and refund them all that money. So when we got the numbers this year, something seemed very wrong again, and I argued with them, and they were adamant that they had not made the same mistake, and they were right, and I figured, okay, fine. But I was concerned, and so I was very cautious, and when I did the tax levy bylaw, I went with last year's numbers instead of the new numbers they gave me. Probably should have gone with the numbers I was given, but I just had a bad feeling. Lo and behold, they came down last week and spoke to Brian and I came to apologize profusely because their mistake is going to cost the town $380,000 in lost revenue. And so that was going to be quite a significant impact, and they knew that they were going to be in trouble with me because I really raised the stink last year for only $37,000 or whatever. So they knew that I'd be even worse this year. And then when they found out that the difference is going to be significantly smaller because I did not listen to their numbers and I used last year's numbers, it made a difference of $320,000 or $30,000. So we're still going to be short a little bit on their assessment amount and the revenue for that assessment, but almost nothing compared to what it could have been.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none. The motion to receive for information, all those in favor? Carried. Moving on to our written and verbal reports. Councillor Danaka has a report.
You have my report. Everything is starting to get back in motion from the summer hiatus. So the first meeting was the library. My report is there. I just want to add a verbal note. I did attend the Taste of High Prairie. That was this Saturday, just this past Saturday. Bouncy castles, vendors galore, games, karaoke. It really, really brought a lot of people downtown. Really did. Like there was, when I was there, it was just shortly after lunch, and I bet you there was probably 40 or 50 people there. I talked to different people throughout the day as I met uptown, and they were just hoping it would become a regular thing for the summer. So it was very well attended, positive, all the way around. So if there's no questions, I move my report for information.
Any questions for Councillor Danaka? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Councillor Gilroy?
I'm just actually only going to report on the last 2 days, if I can make it short. Yesterday, we had the meeting of the wellness clinic at the hospital. We now have, there's some interesting stats that I'll have to supply you with, but we do have a new manager there. She's come all the way from Peace River, and we are very fortunate to have her. She's in charge of working with the CAT scan, the ultrasound, all the tech stuff there, x-ray. And she is a real go-getter, and she's got some amazing things planned, some of which are still in the works and can't be talked about. But she is definitely a real asset to have, which is awesome. We had more discussion on the AHS's plan on what they're going to do with palliative care. Unfortunately, it deals more with the idea of how to help the family access government grants and funding to prepare for it than it does with the actual working with individual families and helping them through the process and giving opportunities for them to choose one way or the other. So we're working hard to readdress that one. But there was some very positive things going on. The Dr. Makuna, the latest guy, to come in for obstetrics, he's passed his stuff now, so he's working with Dr. Ericky for that. And I did get an answer on what happened with the obstetrics closure that we talked about last meeting. It was actually a scheduled closure. It was not a government thing. It was an AHS structured one because of staffing issues. It had nothing to do with the provincial government funding or anything like that. In fact, they had a memo given to them, and we're trying now with both Reeve Matthews and Ann Stewart and myself, we're trying to get them to actually let us know these things in advance if they're going to do it, because they knew it was going to close. And so all the rumors that were circulated by the staff were not true. And it just stirred up a hornet's nest for no reason at all. So in that case, we've asked them to change their communication to let us know, especially as councils, we need to be accountable and need to let people know what's going on. So there are some really positive things as well. Their numbers are of being able to serve people are up, and the number of cancellations are way down because they now have a paging system that is working well for people who are getting having any sort of procedure or something done that way. And they're rotating their staff so that their staff is able to do all things and keep their skills sharp. So you may see them in front for a while, then they may go to the back, but they're just rotating it. So with and increasing the number of people through casual staff as well. So it's very good stuff that's happening in that case. And the one today that I was unofficially at was the Aboriginal Interagency, and the Eagle's Nest is doing well, which is the Métis group outside of town, and but at the same time they're already promoting the 2020 High Prairie Powwow as being here, and so I believe it's May 2nd. They're also doing a round dance November 16th, I believe it is, and that round dance will be held at the Eagle's Nest, so they'll be promoting that more. There's a whole bunch of different things that are looking very positive, and also things that will increase activity within our town from their communities. So there's some really good things that are happening, way too many to spend a couple minutes on. But those are the main ones I just wanted to focus on, as opposed to going on and on about other things. So I move my verbal report for information.
I just had one question. They closed maternity due to a staff shortage. Has that been resolved now, that it's going to stay open?
The staff shortage was due to vacations. That's where a lot of it's been, is that AHS has a new policy, and I've told you about this before, where they are trying to train all the nurses in our hospital to be able to do multiple disciplines. Acute care should be able to do surgical nurse stuff, or emerge, or whatever. So they're trying to be able to train these guys to do multiple ones. However, as you know, during the summer, especially coming now, they've had to deal with a lot of some nursing holidays, as well as some doctors' ones, and sending a couple of the doctors out for extra training. And so they just didn't have the personnel to keep it open. But in this particular case, they said they're back to 100% service. In fact, when it came to the diagnostic services, we are doing very well. Our technician for doing, I believe it was CAT scans, he just got here, really good guy. I think he was doing 8 a day. They increased that now that he's been able to deal with a language barrier, and he did as many as 11, which is a tremendous number. So they're not sending as many out. The only time they send people out of town is if we do not have a radiologist, which we don't have, who would be able to read the stuff immediately. So there's certain ones they can't do. Or if what happens is all of our stuff, our referrals go through Grand Prairie, because that's where the radiologist is. He decides which of the areas they go to. And
okay, that answers the question.
Okay.
And then a bunch more. I'm worried about Councillor Long. Did he leave for good? Was he leaving? Okay, I wasn't sure if he just got up and left unexpectedly. It might be down, because I didn't. Because I know that from before. I'm just worried that he's not coming back. He's not lying in the back somewhere there. Okay. So Councillor Long's not here. Over to my report. Had the meeting with Minister of Service Alberta, Nate Glubas, to talk about the broadband funding, and to keep it very short. There doesn't look like there's going to be any funding for that, which is unfortunate, but and I don't even think that there's going to be money from the feds, because the province hasn't got a strategy, and they're going to be working towards it, and he promises it's a priority, but we'll see if there's any money there to work with that. We also had a meeting of the broadband committee, just an update from Jennifer Masick, our Magna, and she was wondering what to do. They have the contract to do the marketing and promotions of broadband in our region, so they're going to get started on doing some of that. And they were looking for some direction on likely what we would like to do now that our plan to work with the province as a pilot project is not going to be around. Like that's not in the works per se, where we're going to do the whole region. So we're back to saying, okay, well, let's look at a pilot project again. So we've had to fall back and maybe looking at a pilot project, and so we'll have to, both councils will have to approve that's the new direction, and that'll probably have to come back to us again. But that was what the group thought, is let's go back to that pilot, hook up High Prairie, downtown core, and do Jussard, and then start to build from there, and at least get something on the ground that we can promote and show people. We've got just any comments from you guys. You can fill me in if you have anything for the Solicitor General. We're meeting with him tomorrow in Slave Lake. Just if there's, we're going to talk, I was going to talk about police funding, maybe getting the new dog handler position here, but that was what I thought. Yeah. So let me know if you have something like that. Just a reminder, everybody, we're meeting the Minister of Seniors and Housing on the 17th, and need some feedback on how you'd like to handle that meeting, like, because the Minister Pond is going to be up here and be meeting with us, the county, and Heart River Housing. So there was some talk of maybe we get all three groups together and have one meeting instead of 3 meetings. Then we've got her ear for a little bit longer, versus just having her for 20 minutes and then she's got to pack up and run to the next venue. If we all go and meet in one spot, but I just wanted to see if that was good with our council. And any objections to that? No. Okay.
Did you talk to Lindsay?
I talked to Lindsay today about that, yeah.
You'll let us know what time it is.
Well, when Lindsay confirms it, you'll let me know.
Yeah, well, we have to see if the minister is amenable to that also. Like, that was just an idea, and I thought it would work.
A little bombarded.
Yeah.
She may want to do it separately, because
It might.
it may look as though we're ganging up on her.
Do we need a whole council there?
No, we wouldn't. Because if we had our council and the county's council and everything, and I know it's during the day, so I know there's some of our council that can't make it.
You can turn out for the service minister. We have the
Yeah.
whole area.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just the idea, and we'll see if they agree with it, and then we'd have a time. I know originally we were scheduled in for around
2:33.
2,
Got it in my hand.
okay, 2 or 2:30, yeah, one of the two. So yeah, that answers that. The other thing that I wanted to just ask people about was, we need this for, if we wanted to get jackets for ourselves, for AUMA and other things, if we wanted to do that, we have to act quickly. I got a couple of samples here. This particular one was about, what did I say? Was it $60 for this jacket? And then another $15 for cresting on it.
Is it waterproof?
Water resistant.
Okay.
And it's the fleece lined one. So it would work for that.
We tread water.
So, and that was one that seemed nice. We can get polo shirts if we want instead, and those would be less. They're about $25 for a polo shirt, and then $15, so it'd be about $40 versus $75. And then the question is, of course, with that, who's going to pay? And would that be coming out of our pocket or 50-50 with the town, or what do we want to do with that? So, first question, do we like the idea of a jacket or a shirt?
I like the idea of all three, and I still believe that the councillors, we as councillors should actually pay for it ourselves. But that's my opinion. I'm willing to pay for the one jacket and the other two items you were talking about out of my own pocket for this.
Okay. The rest of you? Oh, okay.
Your speeding tickets are worth a lot more.
Yes, they are.
Donna, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that if you, as councillors and you're representing your town, it's part of your elected duty to do that. As representatives of your county or whatever, your town. I mean, we've always discussed the fact that, I mean, we go to these different meetings and the AUMA specifically, and you always see, you know, the different towns have whatever that identify them, and we basically have nothing that identifies us. I have no problem paying for a jacket. I mean, if we have the money in the budget that they pay for it, that's fine too. But I think I'm not a fan of a polo shirt. I think if we're going to do it, that we should all have the same thing. We should all have the same colored jackets. We should, or whatever. Like I think we need to be a united group of people. So.
Councillor Gorley?
Yeah, I think the same, Donna, that we should all be the same color, same jacket, same whatever it is, whether it's a hoodie or whether it's a jacket. But I'm not opposed for it being put on our budget so that it's a jacket. It's $100. I know it's everybody, but it's something that we represent the town. We represent the town in multiple places. It would be a beacon to show that we do represent. And it's something I think the town can afford to pay.
Councillor Stenhouse, your thoughts?
Right. Nice jacket there, Chief.
Why the colors, right?
He's waving the jacket at us.
Why the colors? You bet.
I'm with whatever you guys decide. But yes, I do agree, it has to be all the same or none, yeah.
Okay, so
So have we decided, do we just go to the promo store, size the jacket and say, okay, we're good?
well, that's what I'm hearing. So why don't we? But we have to do it right away because you'd have to. To be honest, I forgot to ask her if she could get it done in time for AMA. But I think it'll be close. But we have to act real quickly and get our sizes and stuff in there to her. So are we in agreement with this jacket?
I like that one.
This color?
Let's see the other one.
The other one is quite a bit more money. It was an Eddie Bauer jacket. But it was $160, $161.98.
No, let's go with the cheap.
That's yours, Trevor.
Yeah.
His is byweight, no.
They're soft shelf.
Yeah, similar to this with fleece lining.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is good for spring and fall and summer. Okay, so we agree with the color, we agree with this style. So, okay, everyone go in and, sorry, go ahead.
I just had a question. Did council want to consider the fact that since you're representing the town, you use the same colors as our logo?
Absolutely.
On the logo.
The logo would be the
No, but I mean on the jacket itself, on the color of the jacket. I was just asking. Some places what they do, for example, if their town color is blue, they have the jackets in blue. If their town color is red, they have their jackets in red. I was just asking.
No, well, we thought we'd put the logo in our red color on here.
on the gray.
On the what I was thinking.
Arlen wants his name on his.
Okay, so everyone needs to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
in like tomorrow and size up.
I just don't want your name on mine.
Do we want to put name or counselor on or anything like that? Or do we just want High Prairie?
Our name, counselor, from the year to year. How many years you've been at Southern Yard?
Yeah.
Southern Yard. All the motions we all agree on. How many actions?
Yeah. Okay, just a question because we need to agree whether we want names.
Your nickname.
Okay, so just the logo, or do we want names, or?
I'm happy with just a
We
logo.
have the magnetic name tags that he's given us.
Just a logo.
Okay, just the logo. Okay, just asking to get that done. Okay, so make sure you go in and get that done.
So how about if we're saying just the jacket, right?
Yep.
So could we, as a council individual, if we do want a shirt as well, can we then pay for that on our own though?
Absolutely.
Because for example, like Councillor Court is a good example of good advertising for the county. I've got mine underneath here, but these kind of shirts do, for some of the guys, they do look good. We're used to those things, and I don't mind paying for that one out of my pocket and not. So if you want to have the town do the jacket, and then any other approved piece of clothing, we can get as individual councillors. That way, we're not forcing people to get them.
Yeah. So we didn't, you bring up, so yeah, absolutely, you can buy something if you want and use it. But what about the costs? Are we wanting, what's the verdict on payment? Should we bill this to the town or pay for it individually? I've heard sort of both. I don't know if anybody cares, or 50-50.
Carol, what do you
so.
think? Well, what's your opinion? You're a taxpayer in the town just like everybody else. What's right?
Put me on the spot.
Absolutely.
What did the fire guys do? Did you guys pay for
This
those?
is society money that we fundraise for.
Did the county approve it? Okay.
So our folks that work for the jackets. And I guess in essence, you guys are working for the town, so.
Nice save.
Put it under council promotion.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
Vern has something here.
Oh, no, I was chilling.
Vern's like this.
I was supposed to.
Okay. No, I just wanted to ask, because to me, it doesn't really matter. I'd pay for my own, but I sort of feel the same way as if, we are representing and to have the.
How about if we just do it the one piece, the jacket, and if you want anything else, you pay for it
That's
yourself.
what we're gonna do. Okay.
And that way, you balance both, the
Okay.
people who want the town to pay for it and the people who would rather pay for it themselves.
Okay.
Our members have duty gear that's issued to them, and it's the department that supplies it to them.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to say that though?
Oh, yeah.
Do we have to have a motion to say that the cost of the actual jackets are coming out of council promotion?
I don't know. Do we need? Oh, we do need one.
Anytime you spend money that's not already in the budget, you have to make a motion. When we go over.
But
Yeah,
it is in the
I'll make the
budget. It's
motion.
under council promotion. Council promotion, right?
Okay, that's where you wanna look at it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. But
Is there money in it to cover the? Yeah. So I'll make the motion. If you guys want
Nancy,
to.
because Nancy will need one. Terry will need one. Trevor will need one. Vern will need one. You gonna give them to all the managers too?
No, I don't even.
If you're going to AUMA, you're gonna have to.
Well,
do that.
they're coming with a policy on some of that for us at some point, right? They're going to be coming with something on that.
I'll make the
What's
motion,
that?
just so we can get going with this.
Well, I don't think we need a motion.
Well, we do, in order to order those.
No,
I thought,
no,
It's in the budget already.
it's in the budget.
I just thought I heard that we need to make a motion for it, okay.
Okay, that was my report. I move it for information. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to Councillor Courtlay.
No report.
Councillor Rose, do we need to move her motion or her written report? Okay, I'll make a motion that we receive Councillor Rose's written report for information. All those in favor? Carried. And Councillor Stenhouse.
Nothing to report.
They never passed my motion.
Okay, that's it. Meeting is done.